I'm Sara, 32. Sitting here now, I can still vividly recall the shock and pain from that fateful family dinner last Thanksgiving. It was then that my mother, with a cold and blunt tone, said, "Sara, sometimes you make this family feel like you're just dead weight we carry around out of obligation." Those words hit me like a sledgehammer, shattering the illusions I'd held about my place in this family. Growing up in a small coastal town, I was the middle child in a family of 5. My mother, Helen, was a strict and traditional woman. She always doted on my older brother, Ryan, 35, who was seen as the adventurous one with big dreams. He'd often come up with wild business ideas, like starting a deep sea fishing charter, but none of them ever really took off. My younger sister, Lily, 28, was the delicate flower of the family. She was constantly in need of emotional and financial support, dealing with one relationship drama after another. I, on the other hand, was the quiet achiever. I was always the one with my nose in a book, dreaming of a life beyond our small town. In high school, I was at the top of my class. I remember my graduation day clearly. I gave a speech about chasing dreams and making a difference, but my mother was more concerned about Ryan's latest fishing gear purchase. When I walked across the stage to get my diploma, my father, Jack, a hard, working fisherman, was busy talking to his fishing buddies. I got a full ride scholarship to a university in the city. It was a huge achievement, but when I called home to share the news, my mother's first thought was about how we'd manage without my help in the house. Lily was planning a beach party that summer, and they worried about the cost. In college, I studied business and marketing. I worked part-time at a local coffee shop to pay for my books and other expenses, all while maintaining a 3.7 GPA. Meanwhile, Ryan was constantly asking for money to fund his fishing charter business, and Lily was always in some kind of relationship trouble that needed my advice and sometimes financial help. After graduation, I landed a job at a small marketing agency in the city. The starting pay was low, but I was determined to make a name for myself. As the years went by, I switched jobs a couple of times, each move taking me up the corporate ladder. I specialized in marketing eco-friendly products, and my work started getting noticed in the industry. I bought my own apartment and a car and slowly built up my savings. But no matter how much I achieved, my family's perception of me never changed. Whenever I visited home, Ryan would mock my office job, saying it was nothing compared to his real-world fishing adventures. Lily would roll her eyes when I talked about my work projects, more interested in gossiping about her latest boyfriend. My parents seemed to think my independence was a sign of selfishness. 3 weeks before Thanksgiving, I was sitting in my apartment, debating whether to go home for the family gathering. My best friend, Emily, invited me to spend the holiday with her family. She said, "Sara, you know they're just going to take advantage of you again. You deserve to be with people who appreciate you." But deep down, I still hoped that this time would be different. Maybe they'd finally see all the hard work I'd put in. So, I spent a small fortune on preparations. I bought a fine bottle of wine, a beautiful bouquet of flowers, and a special dessert from a fancy bakery. I also wrapped thoughtful gifts for each family member. Ryan got a high-quality fishing lure, Lily a spa gift card, and my parents a framed photo of our family from a few years ago. The drive to my childhood home took about an hour. As I pulled into the driveway, I saw Ryan's beat-up fishing boat parked haphazardly on the lawn. Lily's car was blocking part of the driveway, as usual. When I walked up to the door, I could hear laughter and chatter inside. For a brief moment, I felt a glimmer of hope. My mother opened the door. Her first words were, "Sara, you look so tired. Are you eating enough? You're too thin." She gave me a quick hug and then said, "You're a bit late. We were starting to wonder if you'd changed your mind." Inside, the house smelled of roasted turkey and the sea salt that always seemed to linger in our coastal home. Ryan was sitting on the couch, talking loudly to his new girlfriend, Lisa, about his plans to expand his fishing charter business. Lily was chasing her 2-year-old daughter around the living room, while her husband, Tom, was on his phone, ignoring the chaos. My father looked up from the TV and simply said, "Good, you can help your mother in the kitchen." I set my gifts down and carried the wine and flowers to the kitchen. The counters were a mess, with half-prepped food everywhere. My mother was standing at the stove, looking stressed. "Can you finish chopping the vegetables?" she asked without even looking at me. "Lily's been dealing with the baby all day." I looked into the living room and saw Lily sitting on the couch, scrolling through her phone while Tom was still on his. But I put on an apron and started chopping. As I worked, I overheard my mother and Ryan talking in low voices. "Sarah's just wasting her life in that city," my mother said. "She's 32 and still single, spending money on fancy things instead of settling down and having a family." Ryan laughed and said, "Maybe she should come back home and help me with the fishing business. Her marketing thing isn't a real job." I gripped the knife tighter, my anger rising. I'd just been promoted to a senior marketing position at a company that specialized in promoting sustainable tourism. When I carried the chopped vegetables to the dining room, Lily made a snide comment. "Sarah, you brought flowers again. You know Mom's allergic to those kinds of flowers, right? Maybe next time bring something useful." I'd been bringing flowers for years, and my mother had never mentioned an allergy before. During dinner, the conversation was filled with more of the same. Ryan talked about his fishing business plans, which involved buying an old fishing boat and renovating it. My father and mother were very supportive, even though Ryan had no experience in boat renovation. When Lisa asked about my work, I tried to share my excitement about a recent campaign I'd run for a local nature reserve that increased visitor numbers by 25%. Ryan scoffed and said, "That's just a small-time thing. My fishing business will make real money." Lily wrinkled her nose and said, "Why can't you do something more fun, like event planning?" As the night went on, the topic turned to family finances. Lily mentioned that she was having trouble paying for her daughter's daycare. My father said, "We're all struggling. Not everyone has a high-paying job like some people in this family." The comment was clearly aimed at me. Ryan nodded in agreement and said, "Some people are just lucky to have an easy job." I'd had enough. I said, "I've been helping this family for years. When Ryan needed money for his fishing gear, I helped. When Lily had relationship problems and needed a place to stay, I was there. And I've quietly transferred money to your account, Dad, when your fishing equipment needed repairs." My mother leaned forward and said, "Sarah, you make this family feel like we're a burden to you. You're always so focused on your own success." I was stunned. I said, "I've worked so hard for this success. I've sacrificed so much to help all of you. How can you say that?" Ryan said, "You're always so full of yourself, talking about your promotions and your apartment. It's like you're trying to show off." I replied, "I mention my work because it's a big part of my life, just like your fishing business is to you." My mother then dropped the bombshell. "Sometimes this family feels like you're just dead weight we carry around out of obligation." I was speechless for a moment. Then, with a calmness that surprised me, I said, "Good. Then drop me and see who really falls." The room went completely silent. My mother's face turned white, Ryan looked shocked, and Lily started to cry. My father tried to defuse the situation, but I wasn't going to back down this time. After that explosive dinner, I left my parents' house that night, feeling both liberated and heartbroken. For the first few weeks, my phone rang constantly. Ryan left angry voicemails at first, then some apologetic ones. Lily sent long text messages asking for forgiveness. My mother called, sometimes to defend herself and other times to plead for reconciliation. But I stood my ground. I focused on my own life. I threw myself into my work, leading a new campaign for a large environmental organization. I also started dating a wonderful man, Mark, who truly appreciated my achievements. I took up painting, a hobby I'd always wanted to try, but never had the time for. 3 months later, Ryan showed up at my apartment. He looked tired and defeated. He said, "I lost my fishing boat. The engine broke down, and I couldn't afford the repairs." He then asked for money, but I reminded him of all the times he'd dismissed my work and my success. He finally admitted that he was wrong, that he'd been jealous of my achievements. I decided to loan him a small amount of money, but with strict repayment terms. Over the next few months, similar conversations happened with other family members. Lily learned to be more independent, and my parents started to understand the value of my work. For months after the dinner, my mother called and asked if she could visit me. She spent a whole day in my apartment, looking at my paintings, asking about my work, and getting to know Mark. She said, "I owe you an apology. I was so afraid of losing you that I tried to hold you back." Today, almost a year after that Thanksgiving dinner, my relationship with my family is completely different. It's not perfect, but it's honest. Ryan has found a stable job at a local marina, and he's actually paying back the loan. Lily is taking courses to improve her skills at work. My parents have started to appreciate my success and support me in my endeavors. I've learned that setting boundaries is not about cutting people off, but about creating a healthy and respectful relationship. And I've finally found the balance between my family and my own life.